Hey, beautiful soul. If you are feeling kind of in limbo right now, not really sure what your purpose is, this video is for you. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just in a transition. I'm going to walk you through 5 powerful steps to help you discover your purpose in life, even if you have no clue where to start. But first, I want to say thank you for coming on and watching this video. If you like this video and you resonate with it, hit that subscribe button, that little bell thing that, YouTube has. So before we go on, I want to say that this is a myth. Let's break the myth. You don't find your purpose like a lost sock. Your purpose isn't out there. It's something that you remember. It's something you uncover. It's something that you live into. Your purpose isn't your job title. It's not your role or even your passion. Your purpose is a deeper truth of who you are and how you are meant to show up in the world. There's been many times in my life where I knew I found a purpose. And if you look back at all of your years of living, there were always things that gave you evidence that this was something that you were truly passionate about. Let's dive right into these steps. Step 1, you want to listen to your curiosity. Follow the curiosity. So what that means is your purpose often hides behind the things that light you up, even if it's just a little bit. So before I was a cake decorator many years ago and I opened a bakery, a successful bakery, I asked my cake decorator who did my wedding cake what got her into cake decorating. I had no idea that that was the path I was going to take, but there was some curiosity for me to ask her that question because I saw it as a lucrative business, but I also saw it as a creative side of me wanting to know how to do that job. And later down the years, little did I know that I would fall into cake decorating myself. So really, purpose doesn't always strike like lightning. It's not like you one day wake up and you say, I know my purpose. I'm going to do this. Sometimes it's just pieces of evidence that show up. Sometimes they're small nudges and whispers, gentle sparks. Curiosity is a breadcrumb that leads to alignment. Some ways to do this is like track what you're Googling at night. What are some topics that you keep looking up or searching? What are some topics that you're super interested in, but maybe you want to take a course in, maybe you want to dabble in more? That's your curiosity. That's your soul telling you that there's something that you're interested in here. And maybe you just need to spark that up a little bit. And if you do things that spark interest in you, notice how you feel after doing it. And I know when I first took a cake decorating course, because a friend of mine just said, hey, do you want to take this cake decorating course? And I was like really pregnant at the time. And I said, sure, I'll go. And something sparked within me. So how do you feel when you do certain things? And here's the thing, clarity is the result. It is not the starting point. So when you do something that sparks your curiosity, don't look for clarity right away. Just lean into the spark, see what happens, and slowly but surely you're going to see clarity start to come to you. And it's in your body. It feels like there's no way you cannot do this. That's how I would describe every passion I have leaned myself into, and finding that purpose within that journey is that spark sat within me and I couldn't imagine myself not doing this thing. So ask yourself in the journal, if you have a journal, pull that out, ask yourself, what do I like doing when no one is watching? And another one would be, if I didn't have to spend my time being productive, what would I spend my time learning about? Okay, so now you have that part, curiosity. Follow the curiosity. The next one is pay attention to what breaks your heart. I'm going to say that again. Pay attention to what breaks your heart, because sometimes your purpose is hiding in your pain. Why does this matter? Purpose often blooms from empathy. The wounds you have healed or the injustices that shake you awake can guide you to where you're needed the most. So for example, do you cry if you see somebody excluded or bullied? Do you cry at the injustices of, say, children or the homeless or women? And really, you want to focus on those things because that is where your purpose lies. in helping others, no matter what your job is. For me, I was, a cake decorator, but I was also a photographer. And I think that both of those celebrated people in some way. And maybe a part of me as a child needed celebrating a lot more. And that gave me joy. That gave me happiness to see others get that, the things that I didn't get. So you really want to focus in on your pain and what that feels like. Then you can find that within your purpose to create something that includes other people, that has some kind of meaning to it at the end of the day, that makes you get up in the morning and saying, hey, I'm doing a really good thing right now because this means a lot to me. So the next one is reflect on your life story. There is a pattern in your past. Look back at it. Why does this matter? Purpose often leaves a trail in your lived experience. So what I was saying earlier was that I didn't recognize that I was going to be a cake decorator. But when I look back, I was already interested because I asked the questions. Could I bake a cake? No, but I loved the decorating. And so I had to teach myself how to bake a cake. But it was the artwork of it that intrigued me, and the fact that it seemed like a fun job. So here's what you want to do. You want to look for patterns. So maybe there are some roles in your life, some jobs in your life that you've had, and you take out those little pieces of it and you say, all right, what were those things that I was interested in? Why did I get that job? What about that job made me feel fulfilled or unfulfilled? You start to understand like these patterns. You want to know when to break those patterns that no longer serve you and identify the ones that did resonate with you. And I feel like at the end of the day, you need to tap into how you feel in that role. And also, like, what have others come to you for advice on? That's another thing. If you really want to help people, because I believe that all of us are here on earth to serve and to be fulfilled, but also to serve. And I think if we're going to serve in the best possible way, we should do it with complete authenticity and complete generosity, in a sense that, we feel good when we help others. So maybe there are times that people came to you for advice, or maybe there are certain topics that you knew you could help someone with. What are those things? Really go back to your life story and say, I'm really passionate about helping people with this or that. Why am I interested in that? Well, there's usually an underlying sense of fulfillment that comes with that. And you want to zoom out. Just zoom out for a bit, because sometimes we're so deep into like analyzing and planning and wondering what our purpose is that we really don't sit down and zoom out in our life story and say, oh my gosh, yes, that is where I thrive. That is what makes me feel good. That's the kind of work I would love to do. You don't have to have the whole exact picture, but you can have a feeling when you go back to your life story and experiences. You can really dig deep into what made you feel a certain way and what made you smile and what made you go to bed easier at night knowing that you did something that felt really good to you. So in your journal prompts, you want to ask, what moments in my life have shaped me the most? What was the hardest thing I went through in my life? And what did it teach me? What roles do I always find myself playing, even if I don't try? Okay, number 4 is really important, and it is about taking imperfect action. Okay? Not action, not perfect action, imperfect action. This is super important because you don't think your way into purpose. You live your way into it. So why does this matter? This matters because you're not going to figure it all out in your head. You can try. You can get the blueprints. You can get the spreadsheets. You can get the whiteboard. You can start mapping everything you want out for your life. But you're going to miss some key pieces in there, because purpose is not something that you force. It is something that you already have, but you need to find within yourself. And you can't do that with a spreadsheet. And I hate spreadsheets, just so you know. I know some people like spreadsheets. My best friend loves spreadsheets, but she's slowly starting to realize that the action that she's taking is much slower because she's constantly analyzing every step instead of feeling into the next thing. And, for me, it's like whenever I have an idea, I spark an idea, I say, hey, I'm going to just go do it. If I want to put on an event like I did the other day, I said, I'm going to start a networking event for women. And I called the the restaurant that I know, and I said, can I book the space? And they gave me a price. I negotiated, we booked it, and I've started doing that. And yeah, I'm scared, totally scared. But what's the worst that could happen if I take the step? If I don't take the step, that's even worse. But I'm not taking perfect action. And I think that's the thing to remember is you don't need to have it all figured out. Clarity will come with action. Action creates the clarity. But first you need to feel into what it is you want, what it is you want to get out of this vision of yours, and then start taking little steps towards it. You're never going to feel 100% ready. And the magic doesn't come when you have everything put together perfectly. The magic comes when you don't think about the outcome, when you open yourself up to the adventures of what could happen or the alignment of what people could come in during that process. Because if you have it all mapped out, you're living in that moment rather than living in this moment. You want to really live in this moment when you're taking that imperfect action and continue walking with the fear, not against the fear. Because someone said this to me once. They said, make mistakes fast. So if you're going to make mistakes, make them fast. If you're going to have an idea, take action on it. And do it right away before you start to overthink, discourage yourself, and start to give yourself reasons why you can't do it. All those successful people did not sit there and wonder if they could do it or not. They just took the steps and they fell. They failed at moments, but they still kept going. And that's why they're successful. I like to treat everything as an experiment. Everything that I do is like a challenge for me. It's like, what can I achieve from this? Because at the end of the day, if I make this event great, I'm going to be so proud of myself. If I make mistakes, I will learn from them. And the next one's going to be even better. And then the next one's going to be even better. But I don't have any expectations besides the feeling of what I want from the event, which is connecting with other women. And of course, giving them a great experience. You know, you start to build trust with yourself. The more you take these imperfect steps, these imperfect actions, you'll start to trust yourself a little more every time. And you'll start to have the confidence because you've had those wins. You've had the evidence of those wins. You have the proof. So don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to fail. I think that's the biggest thing is don't be afraid to fail because there's infinite amount of things that you could be doing. And maybe that one thing didn't work. That's okay. Maybe it just needs tweaking. Maybe it was in the wrong season. Whatever the reason is, there's always room for more. And if you want to learn more about certain things, you could volunteer. You could interview people that are in those fields. You could start a passion project on the side if you have a job. You could launch a low pressure blog or podcast or Instagram stories. You could really just play with it, feel into it, and then take the steps as necessary. So your journal prompt for this one is to write down what's one small thing that I can do today that moves me towards the things that I'm interested or that excite me, even if I'm scared. Okay, and this last one, this fifth step, important. Of course, they're all important. This one's equally as important. Connect with something that is bigger than you. By that, I mean purpose isn't just personal, it's universal. We're not here on earth to just get by. We're not here to just, pay the bills and survive. We're here for a purpose, right? We all hear that. You're here for a purpose. What's your purpose? So I believe that we're here to contribute. I believe that we're here to solve a problem in some way or to impact people in some way. And I believe that we're here to evolve. If you can co-create with a higher source, whether you believe in God or source or universe, whatever that is for you, you can connect with that. You can start to hear your own intuition, your own higher self speak to you. That is power. That is where your purpose lies. Whether it be meditation or journaling or EFT tapping or walks down the, nature, whatever feels good to you, clear your mind, ground yourself, ground your nervous system so that you can hear all those answers that spirit is trying to tell you, because those are you trying to tell you something. So A lot of us think, well, what is God? What is universe? I believe that we are that we can tap into those things if we just remove all the chaos, remove all the noise, the external stuff of the world, and just start listening to what it is we truly want. Not for the money, not for the things that we think we need to do, or those, societal roles that we should be playing, or those job roles that are only going to make us money or successful. And I'm brought up in an Indian family where, being a doctor, a lawyer, engineer was something that most Indian cultures thrive on forcing their kids to do. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be me. And I'm a rebel. And that's okay. And I can make money doing anything I want to. But I'd rather make money doing something that I love, or make little money doing something that I love, than making a lot of money and being unhappy in a job that I don't love. So I think you really have to listen to yourself, not what everyone else wants you to do, not what your family says you should do, not what your friends think you should do. Listen to you, connect with source, connect with the higher power, and just really tap into who it is that you truly are. Listen to that person. This is the true soul work that gets you to your purpose. It is not researching. It is not the blueprints and the spreadsheets and the plans. This is the true work, is really understanding at the core what makes you happy at the end of the day and how you want to feel. In your journal prompts, you could say, where do you want me to go today? Pretty much talking to yourself. Where do you want me to go today? Or what is trying to come through to me? What would I love to do right now? And that could just be simple things. What do you want to do? What is it that lights you up? Listen to those questions. Listen to those answers. So remember, your purpose is already in you. That is who you are. You just have to become that. And you have to let go of all of the pressures, all of the expectations, all of the fear, all the conditioning. Also understand that when you die, we all die. We don't want to leave this world saying, well, we never found our purpose, when we knew it all along, but we just didn't take the time to listen.